for trying to watch horror films, but when I filmed my first horror film, I became a horror buff, and now I fall asleep to them. So whenever I get to film them, it's just such a great time. Big horror fan.
And I suppose, Lindsey, before we go in and we talk a bit more in depth about The Hangman, maybe you can give us the backstory in terms of how you landed your role in this movie. Was it the traditional audition process during the lockdown, during the strikes, in terms of self-tapes, promotion, or was there a little bit of a unique story to this and how you landed your role in The Hangman?
It was pretty traditional in the sense that there was an audition, but I had auditioned for the director Bruce a couple years back, and then he had reached out saying, "I have a character I think would be really great for you. Do you want to get on Zoom with our lead?" We had an immediate chemistry read, and they emailed me later, and I got to film with them. And what a pair, LaJohn and Bruce! Really, it was such an honor to work with them on this movie.
And Lindsey, can you tell us a bit more about your character in terms of this movie? How she sort of falls in? Is she sort of a cult victim, or in line with the cult, or what sort of role, or how does she align with Leon, dare I say?
I don't want to give too much away. She's definitely a local. She's one of the characters that Leon, and also I get confused. Our lead is named Leon, but his name in real life is LaJohn. So I'm sorry if I interchange the two. But Leon on this journey to find his son in a very horrific situation, one of a cult and one more sinister, witchy, what you were saying. He meets all these people along the way, and he's a very trustworthy person, and he doesn't meet very trustworthy people. And I think I'm confident in saying that we form a bit of a bond and become a friendship that we end up helping each other out throughout the story.
Yeah. And is your character a bit broken? Does she have her own sort of demons or traumatic past that we sort of discover? Is there some sort of, dare I say, upbringing that sort of that she's trying to keep hidden, dare I say, in terms of her own sort of past?
You hit it. You hit the nail on the head. She is a definitely broken person, but what I love about Tara, I think she has a lot of hope. I think she's had a bad hand in the sense where she was born. This place, this setting where this movie takes place, we meet all these characters that are very troubled, but there's still this glimmer of hope. And when she meets Leon, she has a quote that's saying like, "The world is shit, but you're not shit." So also, may I curse on this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So troubled, but I think she still tries to see the good in people and the good in the world.
I was speaking to an awful lot of actors and actresses who've done horror movies in the past, and the one thing they say they all love is the makeup, getting to sit in the makeup chair when the gruesome sort
Mhm.
of scenes and the sort of
Yes.
blood and the sort of effects in terms of that. And some people can get sort of, dare I say, thrown to the wolves in terms of what they look like in terms of the makeup artists, and they're so talented. Do we get to see an awful lot of this in The Hangman in terms of what your makeup team have put on and show in terms of some of the gruesome, sinister scenes?
The makeup team, which was one person, Jesse, what an incredible artist. I finally got to see the movie last night on the big screen. I'm here in LA to see it. And really, the movie didn't lean on CGI whatsoever. So The Hangman is true, new, horrific slasher face. And surprisingly, the days I was on set, I never met him. So I was seeing him for the first time on the big screen last night. And I think the Hangman was sitting in makeup 5 to 6 hours every day. And I think the Hangman in total was on set 10 days. So a really, really dedicated monster. And yeah, I'm a little jealous. I had some, makeup running and some sweat on the face, but get the Hangman treatment. But I'm very excited for people to meet this monster. The makeup is unbelievable.
And I suppose, Lindsey, in terms of that, you mentioned that, but there's a bit of there's a good lot of stunts, and we all know in horror, the great thing about horror is the chase. in terms of someone's chasing someone's chasing for good or someone's chasing for evil, and there always is that sort of element of Tom and Jerry in terms of horror movies as someone that and do we see your character in terms of that sort of chase mode, fright mode, and dare I say in terms of the stunts, were you kept on your toes?
Definitely kept on my toes as a viewer last night, especially because we filmed last summer. There were a lot of things I didn't remember filming, so it was really great. With our lead, though, you really see him in this incredible adventure. The movie opens up very picturesque camping father-son trip, and then the trip it takes is it's just so good. I'm so excited for people to see it. Like a real summer slasher film. Definitely chases, but I think our main character is really on the run.
Yeah. And I suppose the idea with these sort of horror movies is they can bear a sort of a fan base fairly quickly. And we all know the popularity of Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers. I mean, a monster sort of really hits that tandem there we always see doubles or sequels. And I
Yeah.
suppose the monster is obviously the star of the Hangman in terms of that, and how he is prevailed. And do you think, obviously, you got to see him for the first time up close in the movie screens? Is he someone that'll captivate the imagination for people to say, "Oh, I don't want that to be the last time I've seen the Hangman"?
I really hope so. That's how I felt leaving the theater, especially because I wasn't there on the days where we filmed with the Hangman or the origin story. I think the origin story is very fresh, very exciting. It's a very good build. And I know I personally, as a viewer, really want to see the Hangman again, and I would love to see this father-son bond again. I think it's a really good story.
And I suppose the other important element in this movie is the cult element, and we know
Yes.
cults have a lot of tradition and history, particularly in the USA. And dare we say, as we speak, there is cults taking place more in secret now than anything in the USA,
Mhm.
and people are trapped in cults or trapped in cult societies. Or we all heard about the Nexus and the sort of stuff
Yes.
like that in the past, and in terms of it's still a very sort of touchy, delicate subject to touch on, sort of cults, and you always want to do it justice for victims and survivors of people that have been in cults in
Sure.
terms of the past. So in terms of that cult into sort of horror sort of genre as well, is that something that the Hangman is carefully sort of researched into?
I think it's definitely careful, and it lives within the horror world. So we're seeing a cult that is fascinated by this horrific demon. It doesn't. I truly love true crime and docs of cults. I'm completely fascinated, especially because they happen. I mean, I live in New York, so
Mm.
Nexium was happening in my backyard. Um, I don't think we dive as into a cult like scenario like that. We just definitely have followers of this demon
Yeah.
hangman. I think it's pretty sensitive, and then it just really lives in the horror genre rather than the sensitivities around cults and survivors.
Yeah. And I suppose, Lindsay, before we came on air, you mentioned it's a busy time for you at the moment, and you have some good news to share in terms of a big production in the pipeline in the near future.
Yes, very exciting. Few movies coming out this summer, and just yesterday we got word that we will be having a world premiere of the indie drama I filmed about a year ago, directed by Terry Weissman. It's called Max Dagan. Stellar cast. We will be premiering June 30th at Dances with Films at the Chinese Theater in LA. So very exciting projects ahead, and I feel very grateful.